How do you determine wages and salaries, right? You want to know how much should I pay this person that I'm hiring. I'm going to talk about some principles that by the end of this video, you'll have a lot more clarity on what you should pay. So I'm talking from a place of business wisdom. I've had my company for 13 years, which I feel is enough time for me to share some advice on this. I'm not perfect at it, but I've tried a lot of different things. I've experimented with a lot of different things. And so I've got a list of things in my outline here that I want to discuss with you. So stick around for the whole episode so that you can have context and you can have perspective from a lot of different angles. The first one that I want to talk about is supply and demand. Okay, we often think about that with the cost of goods, right? We have an item that we want to buy. Maybe it's a loaf of bread or it's produce at the grocery store. What is the cost of an apple? Well, the more apples we have, the bigger the supply. Typically, the cost will go down, or the higher the demand, and if there's lower supply, then the cost will go up. So if you think about that in terms of hiring somebody, whether an employee or an independent contractor, the bigger the supply, the more people there are that do the same thing, the cost will go down. But the lower the supply, the cost will go up. Or talk about it in terms of demand. We had this pandemic and there was a big demand for all things medical and there was a big demand for all things virtual or online, right? So when there's a high demand, costs or prices will go up. And when there's a low demand, costs and prices will go down. So when you're ready to hire someone, you can really look at the supply, like how many people are there like what I'm trying to hire. In many other episodes, I'm not going to go into detail on this channel, but I talk a lot about systems, and you'll be more successful in hiring people and having that be a good hire if you first create a system for them to follow, because then when you hire somebody, you can think, how many people are there that I could hire to run this system? So just to paint that picture more clear, let's say I had a McDonald's franchise, right? They have something everything is systematized, from the registers to how to use the registers, how to dress, how to flip the burgers. I don't know their systems, but I know it's very systematized because I've been to a McDonald's in the United States. I've been to a McDonald's in Israel. I've been to a McDonald's in Shanghai. I've been to a McDonald's in France. I don't really buy their food, but I'm curious to see what the restaurant looked like and if the menus are the same. So I would say that the supply, the potential of people that are capable of running something that systematized is quite high. That's why McDonald's hires high school students for most of their positions, because they don't need somebody that's really specialized. They don't need a professionally trained chef for their restaurant, right? They just need somebody who can run their systems. But something else that I've seen recently, just talking about fast food, is I've seen wages in fast food actually go up during the pandemic. With the Great Resignation, a lot of people wanting to work from home or just leaving their jobs and whatnot, a lot less people wanted to work in fast food. So I remember even Taco Bell was one of the first that said, we pay over $15 an hour, which I'd never heard of that in the fast food space. So the way that I define it, I would say that there was a lot more demand, and so they had to raise the prices because of the lower supply, I guess, of people that wanted to work in fast food. Now, there is a belief that paying high wages is noble. Like there's honor in paying high wages, or it's honorable for me if I pay somebody more for something. And I think there's actually truth to that, but at the same time, there's common sense. I've seen people pay wages that were too high, that didn't allow their business to grow or to scale. The examples that I think of right now, that actually became the purpose of their business. And if that's your purpose, if that's your vision, to just employ a certain number of people and to give them a great living, I would say that is noble. I would say that that's great. But for most businesses, that's not. For me, that's not my purpose. I love providing opportunity. I love employing people. I love the overseas people that I hire and the way that I've been able to change their lives. I love the opportunity I'm able to provide people locally, my filming team. But there's more behind the purpose that I've created in my company. I love using tools and systems to help entrepreneurs thrive and to influence and to create a legacy and to really make an impact. That's the purpose. That's what I do. And so I need to make smart decisions. I need to follow that supply and demand. If I'm hiring a videographer, I want them to feel like it's a win. The amount that I offer them is a win, and it needs to be a win for me. Or when I hire a video editor, it needs to be a win for them, and it needs to be a win for me. You need to do some math, and I'm not talking about complicated math, but higher wages means less profits. So if this is my revenue And, I look at wages, higher wages cuts into profit, and less profit means that there's less likelihood that your business will succeed. So you might end up overpaying that eats away at the profits. Now, a topic of another conversation, and in fact, several episodes on this channel, there is a difference between hiring somebody USA based versus hiring somebody overseas. A type of skill set that I commonly hire for in my company, if I were to hire somebody here in the USA full time, I'd be paying them between $4,000 and $5,000 a month, but I found them overseas and I pay them $400 to $500 per month. Now that is an extreme difference. It's an extreme difference. It's 10 times different. That $400 to $500 a month that I pay them when they start, it's actually an ideal income for them. It's more than they would normally make if they were working 60 hours a week. And I get to say, you know what? You get to choose your schedule. Just work 8 hours a day on weekdays and I'll pay you. And it's a higher amount than what they are normally making. They get to work from the comfort of their home. And so you can just imagine if that opportunity exists where it can be a win for them and it can be a win for you, it would be foolish for me to hire somebody for $4,000 or $5,000 a month for that same position. Now, you might think that I'm Mr. Scrooge by what I said there, but I actually love pay raises. People that I hire appreciate the opportunity. I just love, I feel like what I've created is an opportunity, and so I love people seeing it that same way. And more than that, when I see that they really value the work that we're doing, they see the purpose that I have, they see the direction that we're going, and they really want to jump on board and contribute more. I mean, I talk about creating systems, so I hire them, they follow the system, but when they use their own creativity and they share ideas with me and they see weaknesses in the system that I've created and they help to improve it, like I love that, and I love rewarding that with pay raises. That's so valuable to me in fulfilling my purpose that I want to reward them, and I want it to be an even bigger blessing for them to continue to work with me. Okay, so I've actually got a little formula that I've written down on my notes, but I'm going to put it here on my flip chart. All right, and it's just magically going to appear here. Okay, so there's two sides to this equation here. It's not really math, but if for me, I've got these things, and for them, the people I'm hiring, they've got these things, then I find that it's a win, right? So I'm talking about high margins. If the price point that I am able to hire them allows me to sell my products or services and have high margins, then that's great. That means that there's going to be profit in the business. If I just have a sense like, man, I feel like I'm getting a really good deal here, it's definitely a win for me. And if I do the math and if the numbers work, okay, if the numbers work, this is what I'm looking for when I hire somebody. And on their side, if they're excited about it, if they feel like, wow, this is a great opportunity, this is going to be a blessing for me, this is going to cover my needs. A lot of times I will look at a profile from somebody overseas and they'll be asking for $250 a month. That's what they say their needs are. And I offer them $400 a month. I know that their needs are met. And another note on the opportunity or blessing, sometimes people have asked me like, why do you pay people so low overseas? Isn't that taking advantage of them? And I'm a genuine person. I went overseas, I went and met my team, and I asked them one by one, like, I realize I'm your boss, but I really want your opinion. Like, am I taking advantage of you? And these two words are the words that they said back to me. They said, no, you're not taking advantage of me. This is an opportunity and blessings. This is a blessing to me and my family, and I love that. They also mentioned one other thing. They love that there's no commute. It was very common. I heard opportunity, I heard blessing, and they're so glad that they don't have to commute because they don't even have to buy a car, or public transportation. The time in busy cities, they just get to work from home. So anyway, if all these things are met on their end and these numbers work out on my end, then that tells me that the way that I've determined their wages or their salary is done correctly. So I want to wrap up with one more conversation, and that is around the word entitlement. So just like I love providing opportunity, and I love the appreciation when people say, yeah, this is an opportunity, this is a blessing. It's kind of a pet peeve, and part of me, I just need to be more patient, but the other part of me, I realize that there's a value in acknowledging, I guess, entitlement, and recognizing entitlement as the opposite of a virtue. I've been raised up in a culture of entitlement, especially in the world of employee. So employers will say, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get this wage, you're going to get this insurance, you're going to have this 401k plan. And so from the employee perspective, it's like, all right, you're going to hire me, and therefore I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that, I'm entitled to that. And it becomes an us versus them type scenario, which I don't like. Companies will use those things, those benefits, as golden handcuffs to kind of lock you in, and therefore you feel trapped. And so therefore we then take on an entitlement mindset of like, well, I'm entitled to this, and they'll get attorneys involved, or unions, or whatever it is, or protests, right? That's like, or walkouts, or they'll have a strike, things like that. And it's that us versus them mentality, when it's like, what happened to the opportunity? I mean, I think about some close friends of mine. I'm even thinking about a family member right now, where they've changed jobs multiple times. And when they get this job, they get hired, they're excited about it, and they feel like it's this opportunity. But as time goes on, they start to focus on more and more of the problems and the disadvantages and the bad qualities or whatnot. And eventually they get to this point, like, it's no longer an opportunity. This is drudgery. I hate this. I'm entitled to this, this, and this, and I don't feel like I'm getting it. So what do? They quit. They get another job that feels like an opportunity. My recommendation on that, and what I try to implement even in the hiring process, is this is not an environment of entitlement. I'm creating an opportunity, and if this ever feels like it's not a win, let's talk about it so it can stay a win, or so that you can find another job that feels like an opportunity. All right, now I have a gift for you. I want to give you a copy of my book. This is a Hero's Guide to Influence on YouTube. Now, if you implement the strategy in here, you are going to need to hire some help, but there's an efficient way of doing that. This book, I put 2 years of work into, and it will teach you how to leverage YouTube to generate leads for your business. It's printed in full color, so I could really take you behind the scenes, take lots of screenshots of YouTube from many different channels that I produce, so that we can help you leverage YouTube to generate seven figures of additional revenue in your business. It's all organic. When I say that this is my gift to you, I want you to cover the cost. So as long as you cover the cost to print and ship this to you, no profit to me. I've got that set up at natesyoutubebook.com. If you'd rather just get it on Amazon, I'll make a few bucks there. But if you want it without any profit to me, go to natesyoutubebook.com, and I hope you enjoy it.